Hello everyone, yes, my camera still isn't working, so I'll be back on at some point. Until then, you'll just have to listen to me. But we've been talking about why there are just so many recalls right now. And it just seems there are so many, and at my wife's store, they've had to be dealing with so many this year, it's really hurt them. And yes, they get the compensation from the manufacturers. You know, they send it back and then they get the credit for it, but that doesn't count the amount of time that it's not on the shelf while they're waiting for the replacements and the ones that they just aren't selling and the ones people are bringing back. And that's sales they don't make. Even if they get credited for the item, they're still not making the sales. And as I covered recently on the podcast, a lot of them are just completely bogus. Like the Costco recall of their sweet cream butter because they didn't put contains milk on it. And Forbes was sitting there saying, "This is why we need government." But I was just wondering, why are there so many? And so I found one here at Eating Well, and I have no idea how much you should trust this website. Probably not much, but we'll look at what they have to say. Why are there so many recalls right now? We asked the FDA. And so this writer says that recalls are more common than you may think. However, the widespread recent nationwide and at times international outbreaks have been quite absurd. Has something changed? Why are there different alerts every week on a new foodborne illness to worry about? Well, she spoke to FDA spokesperson Janelle Goodwin. And of course, if it's an FDA spokesperson, might be better to speak to a scientist because, you know, with the spokesperson, you're going to get spin, but let's see what they have to say. Simply put, recalls are a buzzy topic at the moment due to the huge deli meat recall earlier this summer. Well, that was a big one, but the waffle one was also big too, which affected store brands as well, including the ones at my wife's store, because those store brands, you know, were just repackaged name brands, and if they recall the name brand, they have to recall the store brand. But recalls regularly occur, often without nationwide coverage, and as Goodwin notes, there isn't a spike when compared to previous years. So Goodwin said, "The FDA takes its responsibilities seriously to ensure the safety and proper labeling of the foods we eat. While there may be a perception of more recalls, the number of food-related recalls in fiscal year 2024 is generally consistent with years past." What, so it's always been this bad and we've only just started to notice? I don't think that's the big talking point you think it is there, Goodwin. And we see that in this graph. I don't know why there was this like giant spike in 2013. What was going on there? And of course, 2025 just started. It's still 2024. As I record this, but I think the fiscal year started in October, which is why it's already 2025. But I don't know, about the same, maybe lower, whatever. Although 2012 was low, what was it like before then? I always have to ask the question of, why did you start the graph at that year? Was it a lot lower before then, and it's been really bad in this past decade? What's going on there? All right, so a study in the Journal of Food Protection, which is a weird sounding journal. Some of these journals, man, I'm telling you, which shows that food recalls have declined over the past 2 decades thanks to increased safety regulations. Well, not according to this graph, but you only go with the previous decade. But yeah. It looks like it's just always as bad as it has been. Plus, not all recalls are equal, because some recalls are just going to affect a couple of things and be very minor. Some of them are going to be complete BS, like the contains milk one that I mentioned. But other recalls affect all sorts of other foods and can result in millions of items being recalled, and they can affect potentially millions of customers. So not all recalls are equal. So if you're just counting recalls and not accounting for the severity of the recall, yeah, we're not getting the whole picture here. So it's still concerning to see that there have been 2,182 recall events in the fiscal year. That's nearly 6 recalls a day on food, medicine, and necessary health equipment. Yeah, that is a lot, isn't it? And it really makes me want to ask the question, is this really benefiting us? Doing everything through the FDA and the USDA when they're going after farmers, like that Amish farmer, Amos Miller. And they showed in court, the defense did, that in all of the decades that he's been farming and selling food to people, he has never had a single case of his food being tainted by Listeria or E. coli or anything else. And yet we're told that we have to shut down these Amish farmers, just like we had to shut down all the local farmers all those decades ago because of our health, because it would be terrible. Oh, it would be so terrible if they got tainted and they had to be recalled. Well, looks like that's the case now, isn't it? Maybe there's some issue with these big factory farms that's causing all this food to be tainted that you won't have with the small local farms. And if we were allowed to buy from them at the grocery stores, if local farmers were allowed to sell meat and produce at grocery stores, we probably would have better meat and better produce, and it would all be cheaper, and just maybe we wouldn't have all these contamination problems with them. And if we did, it would be confined to just the local area wherever that one problem was. It wouldn't be this national or even international issue where you have to take products off the shelves all over the world. And this is the problem when you get government into things. This is the problem with things like the Agricultural Adjustment Act and with absolutely insane Supreme Court decisions like Wickard v. Filburn, where they said that a local farmer cannot grow grain because of interstate commerce. Congress gets to regulate interstate commerce, and then Congress can say what that farmer can and cannot do, even though that farmer was not selling his grain across state lines. It doesn't have to be interstate commerce to affect interstate commerce. It just affected interstate commerce. Yeah, but he wasn't even selling his grain locally. Roscoe Filburn only grew his grain to feed to his own livestock. But you see, if he weren't doing that, then he would have to buy the feed, and he would likely buy it from someone selling it across state lines, and so it affected interstate commerce. That's what all this is about. This has nothing to do with health. This has to do with regulating commerce. That's what it's all about. And when you understand that, things all of a sudden become a lot more clear. Thank you so very much for watching. Comments for the Comic God, shares for the Share Throne. Please hit like, subscribe, and the bell. And as always, donate to Apogosity.tv. Keep these videos coming. Keep me doing what I do. Keep me doing things like having to buy new webcams. I have no idea why this thing isn't working now and how we're going to cram in the live stream here in these last few days. We'll do something. I'll get it done somehow. I promise. And there are other benefits too when you go to Patreon, Subscribe, Star, or Discord and become a regular supporter. Get these videos early and ad-free, the monthly AMAs, all sorts of benefits. So please check that out. Thank you so very much for watching. Until next time, stay strong and be free.